The turning point, Powhatan and English conflict in 1622. How quickly can your world change? Imagine waking up on an ordinary morning, seeing your neighbors, exchanging greetings, and by nightfall, everything you know is gone. On March 22, 1622, two very different peoples, who had lived side by side for 15 years, reached a breaking point that would forever change the course of American history. As dawn broke over the Virginia colony, Powhatan warriors entered English settlements, bearing gifts and offering to trade. The colonists, who had built their homes on Powhatan land, welcomed them inside. What the English didn't know was that Opechancanough, the Powhatan leader, had orchestrated a coordinated attack across the entire colony. After years of encroachment on their lands, desecration of sacred sites, and escalating tensions, the Powhatans had reached their limit. At precisely the agreed-upon moment, the warriors drew hidden weapons. In just one morning, 347 colonists, nearly one-third of the English population in Virginia, were killed. Men, women, and children fell victim to the surprise attack. Jamestown itself was spared only because a Powhatan youth named Chanco warned his English employer the night before. The survivors, traumatized and seeking vengeance, abandoned outlying farms and gathered in Jamestown. What followed was a decade of brutal warfare that would decimate the indigenous population. Before the uprising, colonists and Powhatans lived in an uneasy but functional relationship. Afterward, any possibility of peaceful coexistence vanished. The English crown sent more troops, more weapons, and more settlers. The colonists, once dependent on Powhatan knowledge to survive, now viewed all indigenous people as enemies. They responded with a scorched earth campaign, burning villages and destroying food supplies. By 1632, the Powhatan population had fallen by thousands. From disease, starvation, and direct violence, the once powerful confederacy that had greeted the first English settlers was fundamentally broken. Today, archaeologists continue to uncover evidence of this pivotal moment. Burn layers in the soil that mark the exact day when the relationship between European settlers and Native Americans in Virginia changed forever. The narratives we've inherited about this day reflect the victor's perspective, the massacre rather than the uprising. But for the Powhatan, it was a desperate attempt to drive out invaders and preserve their way of life. For the descendants of both sides, March 26th represents a moment when history could have taken a different path. The question it forces us to confront is uncomfortable, but necessary. How do we reconcile with a past where both sides believed they were fighting for survival? When we tell stories about America's founding, these complex intersections of culture, power, and violence are often simplified. But understanding our shared history, painful as it may be, is the only way to build a future where such tragedy isn't repeated.